Fletcher. The gentlelady from Texas is recognized for 5 minutes, and welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Tonko. Thank you so much for holding this hearing today and for allowing me to participate in your subcommittee's hearing. Thank you to all of the witnesses for your testimony today. I'm really glad to hear from all of you about the issues before us, including my fellow Houstonian Director Arellano. I'm really grateful for all of your perspectives. And of course, with 5 minutes, I just have a couple things that I want to follow up on that we've heard a little bit about already today. But I asked to weigh on it. I'm here today because I'm a longtime proponent for recycling, and I'm interested in and appreciate the discussion of the challenges that we face in our country on these issues right now. And like many of my colleagues have noted, I'm really disappointed about how much of our waste is not recycled, including items that we think we are recycling, but we are learning instead are going to landfills or winding up in the ocean when people, as several witnesses have noted, want to participate, want to recycle. And so, it's my view that we really need to invest in our recycling infrastructure, as well as find new and innovative ways of reducing and recycling our waste in this country. Now, last November, the EPA published its National Recycling Strategy Report, and it stated that all options, including chemical recycling, should be discussed when considering methods for sustainably managing materials. And I know that there are a lot of thoughts about the merits of chemical or advanced recycling. We've heard some of those perspectives today in the testimony, but I do want to focus a little bit on how chemical recycling might play a role in recycling certain products, certain materials that currently have no substitutions, like plastics that are used in healthcare that often get thrown away because of contamination issues. And this is especially important because we saw during COVID the uptick in single-use plastic, like masks and gloves and PPE, and it doesn't look like that is changing anytime soon. A global analysis by the World Health Organization found that between March 2020 and November 2021, approximately 87,000 tons of PPE was sent to countries as part of the COVID-19 response and is expected to have ended up as waste. And additionally, more than 8 billion vaccine doses have been given worldwide, producing 114,000 tons of waste. So, Mr. Seaholm, in your testimony, you discussed that Congress should encourage the development of new recycling technologies. That's another theme we've heard today, for materials that can't be recovered through traditional means. Do you think that chemical recycling could help address the immense amount of medical waste that is being produced?
Yeah, I think one of the best things about advanced recycling, chemical recycling, molecular recycling, however you want to phrase it, is it's a purification process. Because it is breaking the polymer back down to the monomer. Through that process, you have to get rid of impurities in order to repolymerize that molecule. So in that process, that purity that you get from the end product of it is ultimately much more safer than perhaps some of the other mechanical processes that can't get to that same level of purity.
Thank you. I also want to follow up with the time I have with Mr. Alloway. You raised in your testimony, and Representative Curtis also asked about, I think, an issue that's really important, which is the public confusion around recycling. And, as many have noted, there is a great deal of confusion, but there's also widespread support for recycling. And so can you talk a little bit about what we in the Congress can do to simplify the recycling process for consumers, and whether it would be beneficial to have a national recycling framework? We've kind of talked about the fact that so much of this is local and there are benefits. People have more access and less access depending on where they live. So would it be beneficial to have some kind of national framework to address those issues? Is that something that we should be talking about, or are there ideas beyond the bills that we're discussing today that you think we should be looking at in Congress to kind of address that consumer confusion?
Thank you, Representative. Well, it's true that people are confused because they might live in one community and work in a different community and are subject to different recycling standards in those communities. I believe that a much larger source of confusion involves labeling of products. Within the Portland metropolitan area and the 26 local governments there who offer a uniform recycling service across all 26 cities, 90% of residents here believe they can recycle materials which that program does not accept. And that is in spite of millions of dollars spent trying to educate them. While local government education might touch a resident a couple of times a month. Residents and households have hundreds of interactions with product labels every week. And many labels make claims of recyclability which are inconsistent with the local programs. 36 states require manufacturers to put labels on plastic packaging for materials that are not recyclable, but they're required to put the recycling logo. And that is a major source of confusion, I believe.
Well, thank you for that. That's really helpful. And Chairman Tonko, I see I've gone over my time. So I want to thank you for letting me wave on. If any of the other witnesses have additional insights there that they could share with us, perhaps in writing, I would appreciate that. And I also appreciate the testimony from Ms. Irwin about bringing everyone to the table. I think that's what you've done in this hearing today. I appreciate that. And I look forward to working with all of you on developing these solutions and addressing the very real concerns that all of our witnesses have addressed together. Thank you so much. And I yield back.
You're most welcome. And we thank you for joining us. And the gentlelady yields back. And now we move to the gentleman from Ohio, who's also been waved down for today's